and gentlemen, I'm very happy to launch the Handbook on Early Access to Legal Aid in Criminal Justice Processes, a handbook for policymakers and practitioners. You have already received it in your conference package on the first day, but now we are officially launching, and very much like this conference, the Handbook is a unique product of cooperation. It was developed jointly by UNODC and UNDP in consultation with OSJI. It benefited from the contribution of many experts, including from NGOs and civil society organizations that regularly provide legal assistance, such as ILF and PRI, Penal Reform International. And the reason why we were so successful in cooperating on this, including also other UN agency, OHCHR, UNICEF, is that there was a very clear consensus that this is an issue of priority. And for those of you who missed the session on early access, very soon we'll have a short presentation on early access in India. So Madhurima will be able to exemplify through real cases how much guidance is needed on early access. Also on the first day of the conference, my colleague Tim Steele shared with you what he thought were the main challenges for implementing the UN principles and guidelines. And you may recall that one of the key challenges he mentioned was lack of resources. And in fact, during the past 2 days, many of you agreed that this is one of the key challenges to your work. Convincing policymakers to allocate the necessary funding for legal aid in line with Guideline 12 of the Principles and Guidelines. At the same time, during the conference, we had discussions about cost effectiveness, and in fact, I wanted to draw your attention to one study on this issue published 1 month ago by First Defense Legal Aid on ensuring access to legal aid that in fact saves costs. And this was presented during the child representation session. The study was conducted in the Cook County in the US, a county with jail population of about 9,000, which is similar to prison population in some smaller countries that we have here. And they found that the direct cost savings to the system from allowing access to a lawyer within 24 hours of arrest are between 12 and 43 million US dollars annually. Think what you could have done with $12 million saving annually. And we all agree that access to legal aid is crucial for the protection of human rights, but in fact it is also very crucial to ensuring effectiveness of the system. As my colleague Adem mentioned yesterday, when an element of the system is not working, other elements cannot proceed properly. And legal aid is such an important element. And where do all these defaults or these problems in the system end up? We see them at the prison finally, and the prison crisis right now with overcrowding is well known to everyone. So in order to convince your policymakers to invest in legal aid, you have to be able to show them the benefits to the system as a whole in terms of cost saving, effectiveness, and also increasing public trust in the criminal justice system. And many other arguments actually that you will need to raise with policymakers are provided in this handbook, because we know that the issue is even more complex than just access to funding. There are places where there are sufficient lawyers, but they are not willing to go to police stations. There are countries where budget allocation is not even spent in entirety because people are not aware of their rights or they do not trust the system. So we try to address all these challenges in the handbook, and I strongly recommend that you read it on your way back home. And then how can you use this handbook? So as a global tool, we adapted it to many different settings. For example, where the right to legal aid at the early stage is already recognized in legislation, it can be used as a tool to guide the establishment of early access schemes, monitor quality of services, and to provide training for both legal aid providers and law enforcement officers. We have at the end a training curriculum, and we encourage to adopt this innovative idea that was applied in Malawi to actually have police and legal aid providers talk to each other. Where the right to legal aid is not recognized, the handbook can be used as an advocacy tool to show the benefits of early access. And you can show examples of how this has worked elsewhere. Where policymakers already recognize the importance of the issue, but legislation is not available, the handbook can be used as a tool to guide legislators as it provides details on what to include in such legislation. In fact, it covers most of the issues we discussed during the conference, and while it focuses only on the pre-trial stage, some of its suggestions are generally applicable. So I would encourage you to look at the handbook. Unfortunately, it is only available in English, but we will welcome contributions to translate it to other languages or to do it jointly with governments who wanted to ensure translation to their language. And finally, if you would like technical assistance with establishing such schemes, please contact UNODC and UNDP colleagues in your countries. We will work on this jointly and are happy to assist. And you're always welcome to write to our executive director.